What's up guys, my name is James and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I want to talk to you about how long it takes to grow an Airbnb management business. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to assume that the people watching don't have experience yet with Airbnb hosting or property management, and that you don't have any kind of a background in the space. You're starting out completely from scratch without any experience, the same way that I did when I was first starting out in my business managing properties on Airbnb. So I want to talk about how long it takes, and I also in this video want to share with you a couple of things that you can do to drastically reduce the amount of time that it takes to get your first client and to grow your business to whatever your goal might be, whether that's 5 properties, 10 properties, $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month, whatever your goal is for the business. So the first thing I want to talk about is how long does it take? It's a pretty common question that I get asked. And the answer is it very much depends. It varies from person to person. It varies based on the level of systems that you're starting out with. What I can tell you is that if you're starting out from scratch without any kind of mentorship, without any kind of a resource to lean on, any kind of a coach, any kind of a training program, it is going to take you a lot longer. And that's just true of everything. That's not to say that you shouldn't do it that way. If you've got more time than you have money and it's worth it to you to go and, you can't justify the expense right now for whatever reason, maybe you just don't have the money, you've got the time, then you can go ahead and spend the time. It's just going to take you several more months and you're probably going to be leaving some money on the table in the time that you're building and kind of just taking longer to do things. There's an opportunity cost to that. So I would say that for me personally, when I started out in the business, to get our first property, I still was able to do it quite quickly. Now, that being said, I did have a background in service-based businesses. I had run my own service-based business for several years prior. So I did have experience in sales and marketing. I had some connections in the space, but we were able to get our first client within about 4 weeks of starting up. And then we were able to grow actually very quickly. We got to our first 30 listings after about 9-10 months managing properties. So we did grow quite quickly, but there were a lot of growing pains associated with that. The number one challenge for me personally when I was growing the business was that we couldn't support the properties we were bringing on because we were actually bringing them on too quickly. I didn't have the back end system set up to be able to bring these properties on efficiently and effectively and get them set up the right way. Now, that being said, I also was working about 80 hours a week when I was getting started, right? And so I was constantly pouring all of my time. I didn't have another job. I was pouring all of my time into this. I'd really burned the ship, so to speak. And this is my only option. It was do or die for me to make this business happen, get myself out of debt. And so I was really putting my all into it, and that's how quickly I was able to build it. Now, that's not to say that that's typical. I'd say that the students that I work with in the program and mastery program that we run, we're typically seeing people bring on about 1 property a month, 1 or 2 properties a month. Now, I do have some students that have even been able to surpass my growth and grow even more quickly than I did, given that they had the system starting out and they were putting time into it, they were putting energy into it, and they were very effective with it, very successful, and they were able to grow very quickly. And we have some other clients that grow a little bit more slowly, that take their time with it, but I would say that on average, we see about 1 to 2 properties a month as far as growth. And so numbers wise, if you're interested in that, you're looking at about $700 to $1,200 a month in management fees per property. So that means you're growing at a rate, you're basically adding about $700 to say $2,000 a month on average to your monthly recurring income each month. So if you're looking to get to a full-time income of let's say $8,000 a month and a 6-figure income, then you're looking at probably taking about 4 to 6 months to get there depending on your growth rate. Right? And so doing that is obviously, that's what I would expect for someone in the program. They've got our support, they've got our systems. Now, if you are going to be building it yourself, I highly recommend checking out all the other videos on this YouTube channel. You're going to be able to cut some time off of your learning curve that way and do it for free. But otherwise, I would say that you're probably looking at about 8 to 12 months if you're putting in a full-time energy. Now, most of my students that are getting to that growth rate of 1 to 2 properties a month are not doing it full-time. They're putting part-time energy into the program in addition to another job they have, families, etc. But you're probably going to be looking at several months of full-time work, if not a year or more of full-time work, to get to a full-time income if you're figuring it out all on your own. The thing you have to remember is that if you're doing it on your own, you've got to go and actually learn everything and then implement stuff, right? So you've got to go and spend, it's going to take you probably a couple of months just to learn how to get a client. As opposed to doing that in a week when you can learn the proven system that already works, you're gonna go and you're gonna try different stuff. And if you're on the right track, you're gonna refine it, you're gonna hone it. And by about month 2 or 3, you're probably gonna have a pretty good idea of how to get clients. You're gonna have that dialed in and you're gonna be able to continue growing. So the best answer I can really give as far as how long it takes to grow a property management company, managing other people's properties on Airbnb, is that it does depend. It really depends on the systems that you have, it depends on the tools you have at your disposal, and it depends on the amount of time and energy that you put into the business. If you want to grow your business quickly, you want to avoid opportunity cost, missing out on opportunities, wasting your time, you want to avoid making mistakes, then obviously just like anything, the best way to do that is to learn from someone who's already done it before. I'm obviously biased in thinking that I have the best program out there in the entire world for this stuff, but I do stand to reason that, hey, I've built this business, I built it very successfully, and then I built the program. I've just recently rebuilt the program. We just launched an entirely new version of the program that we've updated after having over 400 students come through it, and me being able to analyze exactly where people were getting stuck, where people could use more value, where people could use more training. And then we rebuilt the program with all of that in mind. So it's gone through several iterations now, and so I am quite confident saying that we have the best program in the entire world for anyone looking to start a property management business, managing properties on short-term rental and Airbnb. If you're interested in learning more about that program and learning more about all the stuff that we do, then just click the link down below. You'll see there's a link to a free training on how to earn a full-time income managing other people's properties. That training is completely free. We just put that together as well, all new. It's going to go into depth, into detail about exactly what it is that we do, how you can grow this business yourself, all the steps that it takes. Really just even that alone is going to drastically shorten your learning curve. So I hope this video has been valuable to you. I know that I wasn't able to give a specific answer that you might have been looking for, but I'm confident that if you want to grow this business and you really commit to it, that certainly within 12 months, you can have a full-time income, because I know from experience that students that I work with are able to achieve those numbers. It just takes commitment. Now, the last thing that I promised you was one thing I want to share with you that will drastically cut down your learning time and your growth time, no matter what, whether you're working with me, whether you're working with someone else out there, or whether you're doing this completely on your own. The one secret to quick growth in anything, especially in business, is consistency. People often ask me, hey James, what's the main difference that you see between your most successful students that you work with and the ones that don't really achieve the greatest results? And my answer to that is always the same thing. It is always consistency. If you go and you put in a couple hours into your business right now, and then you wait a week and you put in a couple more hours, and you wait a couple more days, and then you put a couple more hours, you sprinkle them in there, then what you're gonna have is you're gonna have really up and down growth. You're gonna get a little bit of momentum, you're gonna wait and you're gonna lose it all. You're gonna get a little bit more momentum and then you're gonna lose it all. And so even just if we look at this in a really practical way, think about lead generation, actually reaching out to property owners whose properties you want to manage. If you reach out to them on Monday and then you don't check into your business again until Thursday, well, what if they got back to you on Tuesday? Now they've been waiting for 2 days. Good chances are they're gone cold. You're gonna have a harder time now setting up meetings with them. And so just by even just leaving a couple days without any action, you're now leaving a whole bunch of opportunity on the table. And that's why I recommend to people that if you're gonna put time into the business, if you're gonna grow any business, especially this one, you put in time consistently. Now, it doesn't have to be a full-time 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 7 days a week, nothing like that. But what I am saying is that if you're gonna put 5 hours in a week, don't put 5 hours all in a day. Put 1 hour in on Monday, 1 hour on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday, 1 on Friday. Consistency is, number one, it's gonna help you to build momentum a lot more quickly so you can get that snowball effect, really get it rolling, get some momentum going. And number two, it's also just gonna help you to build that muscle, build that habit of working on your business. And it's not gonna get put on the back burner that way. Same reason that people recommend that you go to the gym 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, as opposed to just taking a day off and going and working out in the gym the whole day. You're not going to get the same kind of results, even though you might be putting in technically the same inputs, just spread out differently. So that's my number one recommendation, no matter what you're doing. Like I said, if you work with me, if you work with someone else out there, if you do this completely on your own and build the business on your own, then regardless of which path you take, my number one advice to you, if you want to shorten that amount of time that it takes to be successful and really grow the business, is to make sure you maintain consistency. Consistency, consistency, consistency. So I hope this video has been really helpful to you. Hope you've gotten a lot from it.